What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's training talk, and the footage that's going to be overlaid in today's video is the footage that from the workout I literally just finished about 5-10 minutes ago. I'm only going to include the squats as that's probably all we're going to really have time for, but this is the last squat session of the week, which is Friday. I still have deadlifts on deadlifts and bench tomorrow. I had 6 sets, 4 reps with 262.5 kilos. Now, I believe that's somewhere about £580 if you're from America, but don't quote me on that, I'll be on the screen anyway. But yeah, after that I then went on to some close grip pull-ups. I had some core, and then I did one set of hammer curls just to keep my elbows healthy and happy. And in today's video, what we're going to be discussing is a topic that has recently kind of came to my head, and it's down to because I've been asked a lot if I believe I have good genetics. I believe my genetics are good, and if they have as good genetics as me, i.e. giving me their age, their weight, their lifts, stuff like that. Now, if you're new to channel or not aware of my kind of current lifts, I am a junior, so I am a junior in the IPF. I am the current British champion with the squat, deadlift and total British records to my name. Junior that is, and I also hold the Scottish squat, bench press, deadlift and total records, and I also hold the Scottish Open squat, deadlift and total records. And my all-time best to now are a 305 kilo squat, which is kind of 670 odd pounds. I have done a 180 kilo bench or a 4-plate bench press, and I've done a 327.5 kilo deadlift, which is like 715 odd pounds, something like that, 720 pounds, something along that lines. And I did that all about 8 weeks ago in a mock meet, which I didn't peak or taper for. Now, that is why I believe I've probably been getting asked some questions with regards to my genetics. Now, first and foremost, do I believe I have a really above average genetics? Not really, no. I believe that I've got to now I don't even believe that I am anything special, if I'm being really honest. There's a lot more special lifters out there than me. I don't really believe I'm anything special in the slightest, just to put that out there. But what I do believe has got me to the numbers I've got is I'm literally willing to do what it takes, and I'm willing to never back down from my workout, get everything done. If I'm feeling a little bit sore, my joints are not niggling me, stuff like that, I still don't back down from stuff, which is maybe not necessarily the most intelligent, but I'm willing to do what it takes. And I would say my work ethic probably is way above average. I'd never skip meals, I never skip recovery work, and that's why I believe I've got to the numbers I've got to. I believe that I am necessarily willing to do what some people aren't necessarily willing to do. However, I also want to say that, quite frankly, I believe it is absolutely ridiculous to care about how good someone else's genetics are, because quite frankly, it's never ever going to affect you. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you don't really know how good your genetics are until you actually spend, in my opinion, probably a decade in the gym. The first time I ever worked out, or the first time I got into the gym, was after I had a knee reconstruction. I had an ACL reconstruction. I blew my ACL in my knee, which is your anterior cruciate ligament, completely into multiple different pieces. I just didn't have an ACL remaining. I also tore my cartilage in half. I misplaced my kneecap. I bruised all my bones, and I tore a few other things. Had some muscular damage as well. And on top of that, I also, just a few days before my surgery, going in for that, I slipped and I burst a blood vessel in my knee, and they ended up draining. Can't remember the number, but it was a ridiculous amount of blood from it. So I couldn't really do much. I couldn't do boxing anymore. I couldn't play football anymore. So I went to the gym, and I went to the gym on the 5th of September 2011, and I bench pressed, and it was on a Smith machine. and the Smith machine bar weighed 10 kilos. So the Smith machine bar weighed 10 kilos, and I put 10 kilos on either side, and I got buried in my second rep. So my 1 rep max was 40 kilos. And it took me, I believe, well over 12 months to bench 100 kilos. Well over 12 months to bench 100 kilos on a Smith machine. And quite frankly, if you looked at me back then, you would say that kid's got pretty bad genetics. He's not really going to do much, right? And simply by doing so, well then, you don't really know what your genetics are until you really spend a lot of time in the gym, because your starting point isn't a good indication of what your genetics are. Right, so that's the first thing. Secondly, it's really kind of irrelevant. Now, yes, is powerlifting a sport? Absolutely. If you go to competitions or other placings, yes, absolutely. But ultimately, unlike sports like football or soccer, for that is, American football, MMA, boxing, baseball, basketball, rugby, tennis, golf, not golf, but tennis, so on and so forth, you can have a direct outcome. You can directly affect the outcome of your opponent. In powerlifting, you can't. You can only lift the weights you're lifting, and if you lift the most you lift, and someone turns up and lifts more than you, there's nothing you can do. Okay, so at the end of the day, it's kind of irrelevant on what other people's genetics are, because can you always be better than what you were? Yes, no matter how bad your genetics are, you can get better than what you were. So by doing so, by worrying about other people's genetics, then it's kind of irrelevant, because they're not going to affect your outcome. And realistically speaking, how many people are truly competitive powerlifters? Not a lot. The vast majority of people that watch YouTube and probably watch this channel aren't competitive powerlifters. Out of all the athletes I work with, the majority of the athletes I work with aren't actually competitive powerlifters. Do I have a lot of competitive powerlifters? Yeah. I do have quite a considerable amount that actually compete, but it's about half and half. So what I'm trying to say is that ultimately, especially if you're not a competitive powerlifter, it doesn't really matter what other people's genetics are, because they're never going to be able to affect what you can do. It's irrelevant. Your genetics are your genetics, and you're stuck with that, no matter what. All you can do is simply improve on what you currently are. So that's what I'd like to kind of say about today. If you have got absolutely superior genetics and you can become a world champion, fantastic. But see, at the end of the day, see who that person is going to be a world champion, see that person who has that mindset, even if they had pretty subpar genetics, they're probably still going to be a pretty impressive lifter, and probably going to look pretty impressive, because quite frankly, willing to do what it takes and the willingness to get better, if that's there, you will do both, regardless of how good your genetics are. Quite frankly, unless you want to be in the top 3 in the world championships, I don't really believe that your genetics will hold you back that much. That's my take on it, guys. I hope you found today's video enjoyable, informative, whatever. If you have any kind of topics you'd like me to discuss, drop them down below, and I'll speak to all of you guys next time.